Love is my decision. It's up to me to give up my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. Once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to give up my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. Once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now.
Always. Thank you. And such a wonderful way to start, too. I would like to do something a little bit out of order today to start with the daily word. So, yeah. I'll get it. Okay. The daily word for today is love. Very appropriate, and very appropriate for the speaker this morning, too. And it's subtitled, Love Lights My Way. So it reads, in this Advent season, as I prepare my heart for the rebirth of my Christ child, I take a moment to connect with the spirit of love in. Sometimes this season may seem to be about presents, food, and celebrations, but it was really about love. Love is the power upon which the whole world revolves, especially at this busy time of the year. I want to stay attuned to the love of the Christ within. Through this reciprocal power, the love I give returns to me abundantly. Love transcends all, transforming any perceived negativity into a blessing. I express love in all my words and actions. I may give a plate of homemade food or send a heartfelt note of appreciation. Whatever I do, I let the love in my heart be my guide. And from the Gospel of Mark, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater. And now back. So, welcome. That's the welcome, I suppose. I want to add some thoughts to that. We're in the season of Advent, and it seems to me, I looked up in the dictionary Advent, and it referred to a Christian season, which we're in, but also referred to an occurrence, something that is, in fact, an Advent, for instance, the advent of the new year. That occurs on January 1st. The advent of your birthday is on that day, right? The advent of a new day is when you waken, and there it is. So the Advent is here and now, not just there and then. It's not something to hope for, it's something to be aware of and realized. And so I'd like to read a paragraph from, this is an advertisement, if you will, for the Way of Mastery, which is what Jay leads after the service each Sunday. And you're certainly welcome to come. But this is about when you choose love, you become free. Come to see then that when you choose love, you become free. Who can harm you? What gain or loss can affect your peace? In this moment, as you remember love, you give love. Everywhere you go and everyone you see is touched in a quiet and secret place. They may not know why they feel attracted to being in your presence, but you will know. You are simply choosing to be. And mark my words well here. This is Jesus speaking, by the way. You are merely choosing to finally awaken and be God incarnate. For God is but love, and when you love, there is only God. That's the season year-round, isn't it? Not just Advent. We are that love. We are that God incarnate right here and right now. So I think the season of Advent is simply a very potent time to be grounded in that awareness. But that awareness is true all year round. And so I'd like to lead you in a brief meditation. So if you choose, make yourself as comfortable as possible and close your eyes if you'd like. And notice your breathing. Our breath is the inspiration. We're grounding ourselves in the awareness that there is only love. There is only God incarnate as each of you, as each of us. I'd like for you to imagine your heart. Your heart is but the antenna to the infinite. Your heart always knows the truth that your brain may never quite fully understand, but your heart knows it. Think of a moment of being with somebody and hugging them and showing and feeling a sense of closeness, oneness with whomever it is that you're choosing to imagine in your mind, sharing that love, that deep love that is between the two of you. Your heart is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And now imagine that heart having arms, and the arms are engulfing you. And nothing but pure love, for that is what the heart is. And the heart grips you with infinite love. And your whole sense of self radiates with that love's presence, reminding you that that is who you are. So I invite you back now. Hopefully just as a kind of taste, if you will, of what is real always, forever. That sense of being gripped in the arms of love is simply a reminder that we are that love radiating all the time. And so we go forward in the season of Advent with the awareness that the Advent is with us right here, right now, and always. You are love. So So let us continue on. And together, let's share the vision. A world powerfully transformed through shared spiritual awakening. And together, our mission, advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. And our values, abundance, acceptance, community, diversity, integrity, joy, and love. And we celebrate our children with this affirmation together. Unity of Allison sees the divinity in all children and nurtures their unfolding spirituality. And we already did that. Okay.
I'm doing spirit today. I am walking the road of spirit right now. Singing, I'm doing spirit today. I'm doing love today. I'm doing love today. I am walking the road of spirit right now. Singing, I'm doing love today. I'm choosing beauty today. I'm choosing beauty today. I am walking the road of spirit right now. Singing, I'm choosing beauty today. I'm choosing passion today. I'm choosing passion today. I am walking the road of spirit right now. Singing, I'm choosing passion today. I'm choosing grace today. I'm choosing grace today. I am walking the road of spirit right now. Singing, I'm choosing grace today. I'm choosing freedom today. I'm choosing freedom today. I am walking the road of spirit right now. Singing, I'm choosing freedom today. I'm choosing joy today. I'm choosing joy today. I am walking the road of spirit right now. Singing, I'm choosing joy today. I choose abundance today. I choose abundance today. I am walking the road of spirit right now. Singing, I choose abundance today. I'm choosing spirit today. I choose the spirit today. I am walking the road of spirit right now. Singing, I choose the spirit. I choose the spirit. I choose the spirit today.
No better way to choose spirit than that. Wow. Thank you. Well, it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, Sandra McKinney. She is a Ordained Unity Minister, and she served in Eau Claire for many years as their Unity Minister for 13 years exactly, retiring in 2016. And prior to that, she served 2 years at Silent Unity. So, you know, her experience with Unity is awesome. She's now talking in retirement, speaking at Unity centers in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and later in this pandemic time via Zoom. I wanted to highlight one thing, though. She began her own home pet sitting business in 1998 and continues to work today. Pets are really special to me, so I think they are special to you. That's neat. And she traveled to 19 different states for all of her four-legged loved creatures. And she also continues to enjoy officiating for weddings, home blessings, baptisms, etc. So, with a warm welcome, thank you for coming, Sandra. I don't know.
That's where you click the slide.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm gonna move this little book out of the way a little bit here. So I can get my book out. Good morning, good morning. Welcome, I'm glad to be with you all. And I chose Love Came Down at Christmas because in the Advent season, the word for the day that we would light a candle to is love. And at Unity in Eau Claire, we used, during the Christmas season, we used a song that brought us out of meditation. It was called Love Comes Down at Christmas. And if you have a way to look up that music, it's a great song. And kudos to your music here. Wow. Beautiful. I totally believe it will music that will save the world. I always look at Christmas and this time of year through Unity eyes. I was actually introduced to Unity in 1975. I had been sober a year, and my AA sponsors said it's time to go to church. And they took me to Unity, for which I'll always be grateful. You know, I'm not remembering Advent in my growing up years. My family was members of a Presbyterian church. We were in church on Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. My father was superintendent of the Sunday school. It was a very large church. And I remember our family putting together the little communion trays. But for most of the time, my butt was in a pew in that church in my early years. I'm sure my mind was other places. So if they did Advent, I have no memory of it. But today, you know, every season as we go into the Advent time, I really like to explore what does Unity teach about Advent. I go to my normal resources. You know, Charles Fillmore wrote 13 books. His writings and some of the papers he wrote are all compiled in those 13 books. And they have what's called the Charles Fillmore Concordance. I like to see the word dance in concordance. And look up the word Advent in the concordance, it's not there, nothing. So he didn't write about Advent. So then I go to the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. There must be something there. There was nothing. Well, the Bible must have something about Advent, right? Nothing. And then online, you can go to a website called BeliefNet, which covers many of the traditions, if not all, that you show up on your wall here. And on BeliefNet, they write, Advent is not taught in Scripture. You can't turn to a place in the Bible and find teachings on Advent or a command to set aside 4 weeks prior to Christmas as a season of waiting, hoping, and yearning. So did Fillmore ever say anything about Advent? And of course, the search engine we all use is Google. And I found this on Google. Co-founder Charles Fillmore spoke of unity in Advent in a January 24th, 1923 radio broadcast. That's 98 years ago. And the talk was called Christ's Mind, the Second Coming of Christ. And he shared his thoughts and his understanding that Christ is an idea in divine mind, and highlighted the universality of the Christ, the divine essence that dwells in every human being. He continued, like the idea of mathematics or music, or any of the exact sciences, there's an idea of a perfect Christ in divine mind. Now, he told that over the Unity station, WOQ, to its audience. You know, in the 1950s, Celebrities were reading Daily Word alive on television. Fillmore said people with preconceived human notions about a second coming are bound to be delusioned. They're simply looking in the wrong place to discover Advent. Once you understand the spiritual character of Christ's second coming, he said, then you find Christ within yourself. He assured his listeners that the kingdom of God is within you, and that the more we search for that inner kingdom and comply with the law, the more we'll know the second coming. So Fillmore said, it's here, right now. And that was true in 1923, and it's true in 2021. Charles focused on his inner life as the most enticing thing in the world. He was known to do meditation a lot. If you've been to Unity Village, you can see the fireplace where he sat in front of for his meditations. More recently, Unity publications have described Advent as a season of hope, renewal, and change. You know, I don't remember even in 75 when I started attending Unity regularly of hearing about Advent. So I think it's something that what I've watched over my time with Unity is kind of a wanting to embrace some of Christianity, because we are Christian, in an effort for people to really understand the true teachings. So Advent's a time away from the many obstacles that impede our spiritual growth, and it's a time to immerse ourselves in that one presence. And much like Bedford shared, the word adventure means an unusual and stirring experience. And it comes from the same Latin root word for Advent. I like to see the word Advent in adventure. And then I looked to one of my favorite authors, Reverend Richard Rohr. Anybody read any Rohr? Yeah, a few hands there. He has actually an entire book written about the Advent. He's a Franciscan priest. He's in Albuquerque, where he has a retreat center. Prolific writer. And these are words from Rohr. I'd like to share with you today something that I bet most of you don't know. In the first 1,200 years of Christianity, the great feast hands down was Easter, the Holy Week leading up to it, leading up to that celebration of the resurrection. But around 1200, a new man entered the scene called Francis of Assisi. And he felt he didn't need to wait for God to love us by the resurrection. In fact, he thought it started with love. And he popularized what you and I take for granted today as the big Christian feast, Christmas. But Christmas only started being popular in the 13th century. And it was the Franciscan order that made it popular. I'm sure you all also remember that Francis of Assisi is also patron saint of animals. So I have that connection because of taking care of a lot of animals over the years. And now the main point is the theological switch that took place, that we realized if God had become flesh and taken on materiality, physicality, humanity, then the problem was solved from the beginning. Mm-hmm. Francis even celebrated Christmas so much that the Franciscans fasted in those days and most of the days of the week. And then he said, on Christmas Day, even the walls shall eat meat. That's how wild he was over Christmas. He said, every tree shall be decorated with lights to show it's filled with light anyway. And that's exactly what we do 800 years later. But remember, when we speak of the Advent or waiting for Christmas or preparing for Christmas, we're not talking about waiting for this little baby Jesus to be born. That already happened 2,000 years ago. We're in fact welcoming the universal Christ, the cosmic Christ, the Christ that is forever being born in the human soul and into history. And I believe we do have to make room for that. Because right now there's no room at the inn for such a mystery. We see things pretty much in their physical and material form, but we don't see the light shining through. We don't see the incarnate spirit that is hidden inside of everything material. And these are still Rohr's words, because even though Francis was a miracle worker in opening our eyes, he was part of the Western Church. And in the Eastern Church, which was most people in the United States and Western Europe were familiar with, they made it very clear that the incarnation was a universal principle. It was not just God became Jesus, but it was that God said yes to the material universe. God said yes to physicality. They understood the mystery of incarnation in the universal sense. And that's what you and I are still preparing for. That's the eternal Advent. It's always Advent. We're always waiting to see spirit revealing itself through matter. We're always waiting for matter to become a new kind of apparition in which spirit is revealed. So whenever that happens, we're celebrating Christmas. So for me, says Rohr, it's pretty logical that Christmas became the great celebratory feast of Christians, because it's basically saying it's good to be human. It's good to be on this earth. It's good to be flesh. It's good to have emotions. It's good to have sexuality. We don't need to be ashamed of any of that. This is what God loves. So Merry Christmas without any hesitation, Rohr ends his writing. I think Richard Rohr has been reading Fillmore. Just like Bishop John Shelby Spahn, who we lost this year, Matthew Fox, many other prominent faith leaders who also speak in much the way that Fillmore did. And in spite of all that has happened, especially over this past 2 years, I hope that we are still hopeful. I think if we ever lose hope, and that is one thing that Advent begins with the word hope. I think it's so important that we stay hopeful, that something new, something vital, something promising is always coming, and that we're always expecting. And thus the Advent candles are lit to mark that time of preparation, and with each new light, our anticipation grows. Advent with Christmas is an invitation to spiritual growth, to experience life at a deeper level. And the meaning of this invitation depends on the meaning of Christmas for us. Again, that word Advent means coming or arrival, or for me, adventure. I choose to see it as a journey. I have a very favorite Christmas story that I really love sharing every Christmas. If you've heard it before, I think it's where every time I hear it, it takes on different meaning for me. There's a story about a woman who wanted love and peace in her heart and all sorts of good things. But she was very frustrated. She'd read the newspaper, watch TV, get depressed. when the world seemed to be falling apart. I read this 10 years ago. I think this even applies more today. Everywhere there seemed to be hunger, homelessness, domestic violence, prejudice, politics, war, division, conflict. So one day, deciding to complete her Christmas shopping, she went to the mall. Walking into the first store, she was surprised to find Jesus behind the counter. She knew it was Jesus because he looked like the image on the cards and the pictures. She looked at him again and again. Finally, she had the nerve to ask, "Excuse me, are you Jesus?" And he replied, "Yes, I am." "You work here?" she said. Jesus said, "I own the store." And the woman asked, "Well, just what exactly do you sell here?" "Oh," he said, "just about anything." "Anything?" the woman asked, incredulous. "Yes," he continued, "anything you want." "What is it you want?" The woman paused and she thought for a moment, and she said, "Well, I'm really confused, I'm frustrated, and I just don't know what it is I want." "Well, then," Jesus says, "why don't you walk up and down the aisles and make a list? Bring it to me and we'll see what we can do for you." And so the woman did just that. She walked up and down the aisle, and on the shelves, peace on earth, freedom from hunger and poverty, peace in families, no more drug abuse, clean air, careful stewardship of natural resources, many other wonderful things. She scribbled furiously. And by the time she got back to Jesus, she had a long list. Jesus took her list, he looked it over, he looked at her, and he smiled. He reached down under the counter, and he picked out all sorts of things and laid them on the counter for her. And she was surprised. "What are these?" she asked, pointing to small packets that he had spread out before her. Jesus replied, "These are seeds." "What do you mean?" she asked. I didn't get the finished product." "No," Jesus said, "this is a catalog store. A store where you come in and see what looks good, and I give you the seeds. You must plant the seeds, nurture them, and make them grow. It might take a lifetime or more. You may not see the results, but only with commitment will your dreams be realized." We don't really know what the woman took out of the store. You know, the heart of Christmas isn't the finished product. The realized dreams waiting on the shelves for us to take down and purchase. The heart of Christmas is in those seeds and within every one of you. It's the promise not yet fulfilled. It's the hunger not yet satisfied. Christmas isn't the story of an ending. It's the story of a birth, a beginning, a promise. Now, what could happen if human beings understood themselves to be living, breathing, universal spirits of life and love? It's a story of hope, reborn every year with the returning of the light. The heart of Christmas. It lives in all of us. Christmas waits to be born. Let us hold within our hearts the promise of Christmas. Thank you.
I now invite you to begin to prepare yourself for a collective personal prayer and guided musical meditation, after which I ask that you remain in essential silence during the music. If you choose to, You may close your eyes. Feel the weight of your body as it relaxes into the chair when we let go of today's anxieties. Feel your feet on the solid earth beneath as you let go of tomorrow's worries. Become aware in this moment of your breathing. As you breathe in life and breathe out love. Breathe in life and breathe out love. And as you become centered, focus your attention on your beautiful, heartfelt self, your Christ self. And become filled with gratitude. And allow into yourself that which fills you with peace and light. And so we begin. And now I invite you to gently return to this place.
We are ready for announcements. And they are as follows. Next, is it next Sunday or yeah, it would be next Sunday. In our annual angel tree ceremony, we honor those who have made their transition by writing their names on an angel ornament and hanging it on our tree. Ornaments are provided, and please bring a friend to this very moving event. Thank you to those who have signed up to make coffee for our gathering after the service. We are looking for more volunteers, and I don't know if you noticed it at the table in the back, but there is a sign-up sheet, and we encourage you to select a Sunday, and it's very easy to do. There are instructions on how to make coffee if you haven't done that much. Number 3, there are 3 openings on the board. Please prayerfully consider this opportunity and speak to a board member if you would like to have more information first or are considering it. We need more people, and there's certainly a lot of talent here assembled that could do that. Unity member Wendell Winkler is looking for a caregiver. Please contact Carrie for more information. If you did not receive a letter from Carrie on behalf of the board this week, there are extras on the greeters table, so please avail yourself of that. And it's a wonderful letter, Carrie. Thank you very much. New members class will be held on the 15th of January at 10, and John and myself will be involved with that. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say, John?
No, but we certainly welcome any of you who are interested in coming. We have several people sitting here who aren't members yet, and we'd be happy to have you join us. That meeting takes about an hour or so. Bedford and I go through a brief history of Unity and do a few other things, and it's a fun and pleasant experience for us to connect with each other. And then after that, either the following Sunday or whenever it works in timing wise, we welcome you officially as a member of our community.
Yeah, thank you. It's very simple, very much like Unity in the sense there's no dogma. There's just a few principles that we adhere to. So I believe that's the end of, unless there are any other announcements that anybody wanted to make. Okay, so let us come together in our affirmation of prosperity together. Unity of Hamilton is alive with the energy of spirit in the flow of divine abundance and radiant with unlimited possibilities. And as you take your offering, if you have that, or as a plate passes you, you can bless it on the way. And together, celebration of giving and receiving. Divine love in and through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I am, all that I joyfully give and willingly receive. I give in love, and I trust God as my source.
As I wait for Christmas, I turn within and find peace beyond all knowing. When I but still my mind, I turn within. I turn within. I touch that place within my soul, that place of love where I am home, where peace and joy have set me free, where eyes of hope see eternity. As I wait for Christmas, I feel a sense of awe. I'm no longer separate, for love has joined us all. I turn within, I turn within. I touch that place within my soul, that place of love where I am whole, where peace and joy has set me free, where eyes of hope see eternity. As I wait for Christmas, a smile comes from within, joy that's deep and sacred, that fills me once again. I turn within, I turn within. I touch that place within my soul, the place of love where I am home, where peace and joy have set me free, where eyes of hope see eternity.
Thank you. And we receive this offering, turning within and recognizing in this time of Christmas and this time of all time, we are one in love. We celebrate in joy and peace. That is our real home. That is our real nature. And in that spirit, we receive these gifts for the good of all. They are an expression of our love. And we give thanks. And so it is. So let us join together with the prayer of protection. I suggest let's stand. And put your arms out, or hands up. And together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God is over us. And wherever we are, God is, and all is well. You're welcome to stay for the discussion afterwards, and there's coffee downstairs as well, and the Way of Mastery will meet.
Yep.
Okay.
We got a song. Quick
song.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Quick.
Sorry.
Thank you, love. Thank you, love. I just want to thank you, love. Thank you, love. Thank you, love. Thank you, love. I just want to thank you, love. Thank you, love. Thank you, love. Thank you, love. I just want to thank you, love.
Yes, it is.